Great Pharaoh. The gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the five rivers.
Beatsmith music.
I'm back. What's going on, y'all, man? How's everybody doing? Back to the tune, man. Once again, it's going to be a great show. You guys going to see my host in a little bit, man. It's been a minute, but we got a lot to talk about today, man. Like that game last week, last Sunday. We got to get into that. We got to get into the Broncos because I haven't had a chance to talk football, and I like to talk football with y'all. But before I get into that, let me see who's in the chat real quick. In the tune. Let's see who's there, man. White Tyson, what's good, gang? Hey, what's up with you, man? How you doing, brother? Appreciate you pulling up. Yo, what's good, Pharaoh and Ray? Hope all is well. Yes, sir. Appreciate you coming through. Van City, man, always coming through and supporting Raider content creators. Carlos just comes through. He says, Raider Nation for life. What's good, man? I appreciate you coming through. Digital Prez, man. Hey, man, this dude right here, if y'all don't know already, man, this dude he's a artistic genius. Reach out to him if y'all need any type of help with any type of digital work, just like his name said, Digital Prez, man. That's exactly that. Carlos LVR says, what's the sun without a little rain? I don't know what you mean by that, man. Fade to Black Prez was good, man. Was good. Fade to Black was good. All right. Digital Prez. Okay, I think that he's talking to Digital Prez, not talking to me. All right, for sure. All right. D Menace, hey, what's going on? Hey, this dude knows football, man. I always be chopping it up with him, talking football with this guy, man. He knows what he's talking about. Always coming through and showing some love. Raiders down under. Salute, Pharaoh. Salute, chat. Hey, what's good, man? Appreciate you coming through. Let's see. Raider Ben, having dinner, getting ready for bed work. 4 hours here to smash the like. Hey, man, I appreciate you coming through, man. If y'all haven't already, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to Raider Ben's channel. He knows what he's talking about. He knows football. But before I get into everything, let me introduce my co-host, man. He just recently got to 1K. Dude's been doing his thing, man. Let me say less and just introduce him. What's good, Ray, man? What's up, man? How you doing?
Yo, what's good, brother? How you doing? Shout out to the nation,
man. I'm here to talk football. You already know what I'm here for,
Oh, me too, man. Let's just have a good show, man. Putting everything negative to the side. I'm just excited to talk about Raiders again, and I've got my eyes set on Sunday, man. I think that the Raiders have a real opportunity to go out there and win a football game.
Facts, 100%. I mean, we need it. We're 0-3. We're 0-3. I know I was giving stats like every week, like, oh, if we lose this game, we have like 2.something% to make the playoffs. Well, if we lose this game, there's only been one 0-4 team that's gone to the playoffs, and that was the 1992 San Diego Chargers. So just to keep it simple, like, hey, man, if we lose this game, it's pretty much over, done deal. But that being said, we got some good stuff to talk about today.
Hey, we ain't losing this game, bro. We're not losing this one.
Raiders 05, salute for I appreciate you coming through, man. Raiders 805. Let's see. Hey, Raider Ben, we need to get you on a podcast. I got you. Just let me know. But yeah, man, let's get into it, man. Like I said before I got you on, man, I haven't really had a chance to talk to anybody about the game. My thoughts, and I obviously haven't heard your thoughts about the game, but let's get into it. Let's talk about is the season really in jeopardy right now? Is it in jeopardy? Because that's what I put on the title.
I mean, look, let's put it this way: if you start the season 0-4, early on, you've kind of dug yourself in a hole that's going to be extremely tough to get out. So, going into this game at home, Allegiant Stadium, no game has been bigger than this for the Raiders this season. We all didn't expect them to go 0-3. I surely wasn't expecting to be having this conversation of, hey, the Raiders, the Broncos of all teams have the opportunity to kind of put the nail in the coffin for the Raiders season. And that's something that I don't like to live with in my stomach. So going into this Sunday, man, the Raiders have got to show up. This has to be the game that you put 4 quarters of football together. And I think ultimately they find a way to get it done.
So what are your thoughts on last game, the Titans and Raiders game? Like, let me know, like, how you felt after the game. Were there things that you liked, things you didn't like? You know what I mean? Because I could tell you when I watched the game, I thought DC looked good. I thought
Right.
DC looked good. I thought he looked good in the pocket. I thought he had some good. Obviously, in the fourth quarter, he had some crazy throws. I think this game is pretty much the story of our season. We haven't played a complete game. The first half, the defense just couldn't stop anybody. Remember, we talked about it before in our pregame show last week. We said that, hey, we have to stop King Henry. You know what I mean? Like we got to stop him at all costs, because when he gets going, everything else is easier for them. They all work through him, and they found creative ways to get him involved, and they scored early against us, and I think it was an uphill battle for us throughout the game.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about that, right? That we were going to get everything that was in the Titans playbook, even though if it might not have been a lot. I made that joke about Todd Downing versus Patrick Graham, but look, in the first half, we just play that zone defense, and honestly, I don't think this defense is built for that. I don't like having the DBs 10 yards off the line of scrimmage and just letting these guys play catch out there. You know what I mean? And then when it comes to King Henry, they were able to get him involved in the passing game, which was a little bit unlike them. They just kind of threw a little bit of different things, which should have been expected. We kind of talked about that on the show, that the Titans are going to throw everything at the Raiders to get a win. But at the first half, man, you just cannot let the Titans go 3 for 3 in the red zone to put up 21 points. Overall, my initial reaction was probably like a lot of the nation. It was too emotional, just because it's another game yet again that you lose a nail biter, another close game. But when I go back and I revisit the film, the Raiders are slowly but surely getting better. Now, they haven't played a full 4 quarters yet, which is what I honestly think is what is going to be to put the cherry on top of everything, is if the Raiders can go out there and put 4 quarters together. But they're slowly crawling towards a victory, and you can kind of sense that. And I think the guys sense that, is which would make these losses a lot harder.
Yeah, and I said this to you before the show. Like, one of the things that I kind of like was excited to see is the fact they're done doing the O-line rotation. Hopefully, moving forward, that stops. I think they're not done adjusting. I feel like they're going to probably, once James comes back, in my opinion, I feel like they should put the best 5 out there. But last game, they didn't do any O-line rotation, and it worked out. I mean, they only allowed 1 sack, had a pressure rate of 27.1%, and that was the lowest of the season. So everything looked good. Even watching the game, I didn't feel like Carr was extremely under pressure. Carr, and then when there was movement in the pocket, Carr did a good job of moving in and using his pocket presence to make throws that he needed to do. I thought that was big when I watched Carr on offense. Mac Hollins, man, 158 yards, 1 touchdown, 9 receptions. God. And I don't get it confused. Mac Hollins is still a role player in my eyes until he proves otherwise. But man, the fact that we have that on offense with Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, and Darren Waller, because we know what all those players are capable of. So whatever Hollins gives us is just icing on the cake.
Right.
So when they finally figure out this offense, when they finally kind of figure out, like, okay, they put a full game together on offense and defense, man, the Raiders – look out. But they got to do it. They got to do it at the end of the day, man. And I know we're kind of frustrated. The 0-3 is not a good stat. It's not a good stat by any measures. But I'm just excited. I'm still excited about the season. I'm still not down on the players. I'm still not down on the coaching staff. I was with you after the game. I was kind of like, damn, like, it's gonna be another season. And I'm on Twitter, and people are like, we need to fire Josh McDaniels, which I thought was crazy. I mean. And that's why I dropped my video recently about like the success rate of first-year coaches. Like, we got to be realistic. They're not going to go to the Super Bowl first year. They're not. They're putting in new systems. They haven't even got the players that they want on offense. Like, it takes time. You know what I mean? And I think that's our expectations were very high just based off last season, understandably. And don't get it twisted. I think at the end of the day, I think that our offense, or just the team in general, I think the coaching staff has been the biggest disappointment, to be honest with you.
It's play calling, in my opinion. Look, it's just the offensive line isn't the issue. You go to every 32 teams in the National Football League, at some point in the game, there's going to be a penalty. There's going to be a sack let up here and there. The offensive line is not the issue. Now, to talk about the rotation, I thought the Raiders' offensive line did a pretty good job. We talked about stop rotating these guys in and out. However, if we do get Andre James back this week, we're going to see yet again another rotation. Does it Parham go to left guard now? Does he take a hold of right guard and Alex Bars gets left guard? Does Jermaine Illuminor still play a guard position, or does he swing back out to tackle? There's a lot of question marks. I'd imagine if Dylan Parham goes to guard, then they swing Jermaine Illuminor back out at right tackle, which honestly, I think that's why you've seen some penalties, and we kind of talked about that pregame. I thought those penalties were kind of garbage by the refs. I thought Jermaine Illuminor played a good game. You got to get him back out on the right side. I feel like that's where he's most comfortable. But honestly, man, when I'm watching the film, it's just I feel like this game Derek Carr had a lot more freedom, and I felt like a lot more of the play calling. Derek Carr kind of got the guys into their plays, and you've seen him get out of the pocket, get creative. Every time he used his legs to get on the perimeter, he was able to attack vertically down the football field, which is something that we've all wanted to see out of DC. He was a lot more accurate. He wasn't perfect, but he was a lot more accurate this game, threading the needle in a lot of tight throws. So to me, though, honestly, it just feels like the Raiders' offense doesn't have their identity. They still don't know what they are yet 3 games into the season. And, I was reading a cool article today, and it was talking about how historically Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots usually take the first 4 games of the season and they almost use it as their preseason. And they kind of develop and they see what they're good at and they kind of find their identity, what not to do, what to do. So hopefully after this, going into this Denver Bronco game, they have a game plan, can ride with it, maybe run the football, develop play action, get Carr's legs moving, and take some shots vertically down the football field. And let's see what this Raiders offense can do.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that it's all on the players. I mean, they did go 1 for 12 on third down last game, which is not a good stat to be bad at, and that's a recipe for losing. And on top of that, they were 0 for 8 in the second half. But like seven of those yards, I mean, not 7, but 7 of the third downs were 7 or more yards. So that tells you like they were struggling to get like in third and manageable. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the fact if you're in third and long, like most likely your chances of getting the first down are going to decrease. So I think that's something that they need to improve on, but they need to incorporate the run. So that's why I'm kind of looking at the coaching staff. When you're averaging 5 yards per carry at the end of the day, you gotta keep going with that. But I think this game was a little bit different because the fact that we kind of the Titans had us on our heels. They were scoring like almost every drive, and that goes back to what we're talking about. We have to put a complete game, offense and defense, because it does influence the play calling as well. I gotta be honest.
And yet again, dude, we were talking about it, and it's like you're establishing a good run game with Josh Jacobs. You get a turnover with Deron Harmon. You really have a moment to seize the momentum of the game, really shift it into the Raiders' hands, and you go back to pass when you had a complete opportunity to establish Josh Jacobs as a key weapon in that football game, continue to pound the rock, get into the red zone, punch it in. It's just in crucial aspects where the Raiders have every opportunity to go out there and run the ball. They're resorting to pass, and it's becoming too predictable. When the Raiders' offense is balanced, they're extremely hard to stop. You can't shy away from Josh Jacobs. Moving forward, I hope that Josh McDaniels can kind of simplify this stuff and really get Josh Jacobs involved in the game. 1 for 12 on third down, that's not winning football. That's not going to get the job done. 2 for 6 in the red zone. I mean, let's think about if you put up, let's just say you scored on 4 of the 6 red zone attempts and you got 28 points, which was completely capable. Keelan Cole dropping a touchdown, Darren Waller dropping a touchdown, penalties, you name it. The Raiders have found every opportunity to kind of lose a football game. You're 1 for 12 on third down, 2 for 6 in the red zone, yet you lose a game by 2 points. You're up 20-0 at halftime with the Arizona Cardinals, and you blow a 20-point deficit to ultimately lose. You turn the football over 3 crucial times against the Chargers, and you lose by 5 points. Every single team that we play have a 1-2 record, and they all have one thing in common is they've beat the Raiders, and they've lost to everybody else.
Yeah, man. And I want to get into the fact that like our red zone issues. I know you brought that. I know we talked about it a little bit before the show, but I just didn't like the fact that we didn't incorporate the run game.
No.
We passed like 73.7% of our red zone plays. And the fact that we're averaging 5.1 yards per carry in general in the game, but 4.6 yards when we did rush it in the red zone should tell you like, oh, okay, we were running the ball well. And then when we did get to the red zone, we're averaging almost 5 carries. It's not like they were like stuffing us in the red zone. So in my opinion, that's coaching.
Yeah,
That's play calling.
this offensive running scheme isn't like it was last year when Josh Jacobs was getting hit 3 to 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. That's not the case. Say what you want about this offensive line when it comes to pass protection, but when it comes to running the ball efficiently, this Raiders football team knows how to do it. And
Yep.
Josh Jacobs is playing like money's on the line. Let's be honest. He's in that contract year, and you could tell he's running with a purpose. Coming out there and even having an illness and running as hard as he was running on Sunday. I mean, this guy needs to be a focal point of the offense. Like, you have got to start feeding Josh Jacobs far more. We talked about it. It was one of those situations last week in our pregame. I said, hey, look for Derek Carr to probably throw 40 times this game. He had 42 pass completions. You know what I mean? Or 42 pass attempts. I want that number to come down a little bit. Josh Jacobs' carries should be up in the upper 20s. And it should be around that 32 to 35 range for Derek Carr. And yet again, Pharaoh, another game where Derek Carr has not eclipsed 2 touchdown passes.
I know, but he should have had like 4 or 5 this game. He should have had 4 or 5. You know what I mean? And Darren Waller had, he got to. I know, and I want to get too hard. Like, I know the nation's been hard on Darren Waller because he did drop that ball. He did put a weak, I don't know what to call it. He was wide open, and then he just put his lazy arm out there. I don't know what to call it, but like, he should have. It just seems like since last season he's had an issue with catching the ball. Like, ever since his like breakout season in 2019, 2020, I think he was pretty productive, but 2021, where he was injured and people were questioning if he really wanted it and did he want a big contract, and I don't know, he hasn't been the same player. But like, I think you were talking about earlier, you mentioned before to me earlier, you're saying that he's a self-motivated player, not really worried about him. But let's get to Raiders 805. He says our expectations were high because of the weapons we have. Not just the weapons. I think the fact that we were 10-7 and we went to the playoffs, and the fact that Josh McDaniels wasn't here because our head coach got fired. It was not normal circumstances that the head coaching vacancy was available for the Raiders. Like, it was available because we all know what happened with John Gruden. And then obviously Rick Bisaccia, he's a special teams coordinator. They didn't trust that long term. But I think still this team is a playoff team. So that's why coming into season, I was really kind of like, I would say I was really, I had the coaching staff. I held the coaching staff at a very high pedestal just because I think, in my opinion, the fact that just their resume, their background, the fact that they've had success in other places. Obviously, Josh McDaniels with leading so many top offenses. And then, Patrick Graham, he was a guy that people were interviewing for a head coaching vacancy because he's a good defensive-minded coach. So the fact that we're kind of struggling a little bit early has me concerned. But at the end of the day, it takes time for things like this to develop. And it doesn't matter if you have Devontae Adams. It doesn't matter. But we'll still hold them accountable. But at the same time, we got to have a level. We got to look at it from an even playing field,
Yeah, and earlier in the offseason on my channel, I was talking about, especially when we first signed Josh McDaniels, it was like, when you go to a 10-7 football team and you overcame all the obstacles that the Raiders did last year, typically when you get a new head coach, there is a culture change to go on in the organization. It's just natural. It's what happens. And when you're a team that actually makes the playoffs, you have to beg the question of how much culture change do we really need in this locker room? Because we're a team that fought through a multitude of adverse situations and punched our ticket into the playoffs. And then you get a Josh McDaniels, you get a new offensive scheme. And let's be honest, that culture is kind of changing, right? We've been talking about it all offseason. You could tell that something is different about the Raiders organization. So looking at that big picture, it's the Raiders were a playoff football team, and now the standards has almost been lowered in the first 3 weeks of the season. And it's, how can this team find the identity again? How can they find what it is that they're good at? And so while we kind of took a step forward when it comes to developing talent, like adding talent to this roster, we almost took 2 steps back with learning a new offensive scheme and creating a new culture. So it's an interesting situation that the Raiders are in. It's pretty,
and that's why it sucked when that whole Gruden situation happened, because they were in their 4th year in the offense. You know what I mean? Like,
bro,
like Derek Carr, like, you could tell the confidence that he had on the field. I mean, we can all question Gruden as a play caller, rightfully so, but it was his 4th year in that offense. So the fact that he has to start over, the team has to start over, they're going to get new players, new system. That takes a little bit of time to adjust. So that being said, I mean, I'm still holding them to I'm still holding them accountable at the end of the day, but we can't just fire them in the middle of the season. Like, come on,
No, that's not going to happen.
that's crazy. And I know Van City's like, hey man, if we go 0-5, McClownius has to go. But hey, some of the players need to step up too, man. Hey, Waller needs to catch some balls. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Pause,
McDaniels can't go out there and catch the football. He can't run the rock, and it's like, he can't cause a PBU or a turnover, or he can't be Chandler Jones and get the sack. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to hold this coaching staff just as accountable as I'm going to hold the players, because the coaching has just been atrocious. I mean, you shouldn't be getting out coached by the guys you're getting out coached by. However, the players are the ones that are out there on the field, and they've got to make plays. So with the Darren Waller drops, the Keelan Cole drops, the lack of running the football, look, it's up to the Raiders to find out what it is that they're good at. So hopefully that happens this week. I think there's some key matchups that the Raiders can kind of take advantage of. And like I said about Darren Waller, I think that this guy is a self-motivator. And typically when he has a bad game like this, like what he had Sunday, that was actually pretty horrible. If I want to be completely honest with you, this guy, I expect to come into Allegiant Stadium ready to play football. And he's actually one of the guys that I got circled on my paper of this guy might have a breakout game.
Mm-hmm. And ONT, you want to go take this question? Because this is a weekly question, by the way. It's 3 games so far. How many snaps has Kuntz played? What, 2, 4
and
snaps?
You know what's funny is rewatching the film, everybody's like, oh, Malcolm Kuntz, he needs to develop run defense. And when he was in the game and he actually got snaps, he got a tackle for loss behind the line of scrimmage on Derrick Henry. So it's like, if there's one defensive player that has earned more reps moving forward, it's Malcolm Kuntz. Like, Chandler Jones didn't show up. He's underwhelmed. And look, there was an aspect where I thought like my prediction was about to come true. It was a key, crucial moment. And I said last week that Chandler Jones, I expect him to get a strip sack and maybe create some momentum for the game. He came unblocked off the edge. Tannehill dropped back to pass, and he just got the ball out in time. Like Chandler Jones got his hand on the ball and made it incomplete.
He kind of forced the incompletion. I'll give him credit there. He forced the incompletion, but
it needs to be more consistent.
It's few and far in between. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's the first time in his career where he's had no sacks in his first 3 games. So is he approaching that part of his career where he's not as effective as he used to be? Did the Raiders overpay? It's looking like it so far. I mean, it's still a lot of games left. You know what I mean? I don't want to throw the book at him like that and say that his career is over or he's not the same player that he was. But so far,
I think it's safe to say with his age, I mean, he's not going to be the same. He's not going to be the same player. You're going to kind of get a reserved type of quality out of his skill set as he starts to get older. Granted, when you look at this dude's bloodline, John Jones being, light heavyweight champion, going to compete for the heavyweight title. When you're talking about Arthur Jones, this family is built to go out there and compete at a high level, even in higher age. So if anybody can do it, I think Chandler Jones can. It's just he hasn't shown that in the silver and black yet. And to be honest, Malcolm Kuntz has earned more reps. The preseason that he had, the ability to get behind the line of scrimmage, create pressures, create sacks. He is that young player that you want to take advantage of his contract right now. You want to get him involved. You want his skill sets to develop. So moving forward, I'm looking for Malcolm Kuntz to get more involved in the game plan.
Yeah, 100%, man. We have 2 sacks on the season, yo.
No, at some point you got to start dialing up.
Max Crosby has all our sacks.
It's ridiculous, bro.
It's crazy, but let's get into the next game, man. Let's talk about the Broncos game, the Raiders and Broncos. What are you looking forward to for this game, y'all?
First and foremost, man, we got to play 4 quarters. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for consistent. I'm looking for the Raiders to actually come out and compete fast right away. As soon as the refs blow that whistle and kickoff happens, I want to see a Raiders football team that's locked in, ready to go. I want you to line up, strap up the chin straps, and get ready to hit people. This is the game that you got to show up. So I want to see the Raiders start fast. I want to see them play efficient football. This is a defensive team that we're going against. So this offense needs to show up. Get Josh Jacobs going early and often, okay? They're going to be missing their interior defensive tackle, Draymond Jones, who has 2 sacks on the year, who has actually been a pretty key cog for them, developing pass rush up the middle of the field. You got to get Josh Jacobs involved. Get Derek Carr's feet moving again like you did last week against Tennessee. They're missing Simmons back in that safety room. You got to attack Caden Stearns, a safety that's back there who's struggling right now. You got to be able to take your shot. So developing a good game plan, getting Darren Waller involved against these linebackers, and picking your shots down the field. Look, the Raiders have got to get this Denver Broncos defense on their heels early, and that's going to be the key aspect. You can't let Russell Wilson get going. Don't let this be the game that the Denver Broncos offense finds who they are. Don't let that happen. Relentlessly get after Russell Wilson, make them uncomfortable, shut down the run. Really, man, I need the Raiders to show up and play Raider football. You know, it doesn't get more simple than this game.
Facts, 100%. I feel like is this going to be the game? I was talking to you before the show. Like, is this going to be the game where Josh McDaniels commits to the run? Because this is a stingy pass defense. They're like number 3 in pass defense in the league. They're number 2 ranked defense. And what I thought was interesting is the fact that they actually blitz a lot. They blitz 41.9%. The blitz percentage, they're like number 2 in the league behind, guess who? The Arizona Cardinals, the team that we just played this year. So in years past, I'm looking at this matchup and saying, oh, they blitz a lot. Oh, you know how Carr plays against the blitz. But, you know, I'm still kind of like, I don't want to just, you know, automatically say that, hey, Carr's going to have a great game just because it's a blitzing team. This team has coverage behind those blitzes, led by Patrick Surtain. The dude's a monster. I think last game, I think he was targeted like 6 times, no completions, and that hasn't happened since last year. You know what I mean? And he's a rookie. This is his 2nd year in the league, man. Dude is looking like he might be the next great corner in the league. And Justin Simmons is not. I think he's on the injured reserve. So that's another player that we always faced when we played the Broncos. We all know he's a baller, but he's not going to play this game, thankfully. Yeah, thankfully. But they're number 2 in the league, and the fact that they're, you know, a top-notch defense, and that's partly to do with the fact that they got Chubb and Gregory back there, monsters. I think they have like 9 sacks in between them, kind of how we expected Max Crosby and Chandler Jones, you know, to be. But you know, obviously, we're still waiting for that to happen.
I think if this is me personally, you know what I mean, and I might get some pushback on this, but I want to see Devontae Adams versus Patrick Surtain, and I think that let Devontae kind of take this kid to school a little bit. You know what I mean? And if you can go after Surtain with all these stats about how he hasn't allowed a completion, if you can attack this defense almost in their strength and get an advantage, if Devontae can get going in this game, I think it's going to bode well for the confidence of the Raiders offense. So not to mention that they've got Kareem Jackson starting back there with safety. So on the back end of this defense, outside of Patrick Surtain and Ronald Darby, you've got Kareem Jackson, a veteran presence, and then you've got Caden Stearns. So if you can get yourself in these matchups, you know, maybe another Matt Collins situation, you know, Darren Waller. I don't know if Hunter Renfrow is going to be a go for this week. But historically, dude, Josh Jacobs has done good against the Denver Broncos. I think this is a game where you go, you know, 21 personnel. You play big bully football and really limit the pressure from a Bradley Chubb and a Randy Gregory. Don't let those guys get going. Don't get in the shotgun formation and pass. Because this defense who blitzes heavy, like you just alluded to, they can really start getting after Derek Carr, and that's when we've seen this offense struggle. So create your offense based off of the run. Get in 21 personnel. Get a lot in the I formation, jumbo formation, and really play bully football against the Broncos. And historically, we have had success when we've played them that way.
And the thing is that this sounds similar to our preview of the Chargers. And for some reason, Josh McDaniels wanted to go with a heavy pass game plan.
It's tempting, right?
With Khalil Mack and Joseph. So it's like we can say, hey, they should run against this D-line, man. Like our O-line, I know they've been playing solid as of lately, but I still don't feel comfortable going against like a Randy Gregory who's playing well. He played well last week. I think he had like a sack, forced fumble. And then Bradley Chubb has 3 sacks on the season.
Yeah. Gregory has 2.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So like
they can get after it, bro.
Yeah, and I said 9 sacks in between, not in between them as a team. They got 9 sacks. They're ninth in the league. But Austin Martinez says, have you guys seen Dan Orlovsky's film study of the Titans game yet? Sanjit and Raider Honcho have covered it, and it's starting to blow. I haven't had a chance to check that out. I appreciate you letting me know. I'm gonna check it out though. Have you seen it?
I haven't watched it. No.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and check it out. I know Dan's gonna talk some shit.
No, I mean, I did see he's gonna allude to that Derek Carr was afraid to throw to Devontae Adams because of double coverage. And look, me and you I kind of brought it up to you at the beginning of the show before we went live. Look, Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr. Aaron Rodgers had a history and rapport with Devontae Adams that Derek just doesn't have yet. So where Aaron Rodgers was comfortable throwing to Devontae in double coverage and throwing into tight windows, him and Devontae Adams aren't on that page yet. So everybody's expecting DC to just gun it in there. And then it's going to be the same fans that say, oh, DC's not throwing to Devontae. But then when DC does throw to Devontae in double coverage and there's an interception or there's something that goes wrong on that play, they're going to be the first one to throw the stones at DC. So honestly, I like where DC's moving with this offense. I think last week against the Titans was a huge improvement from what we've seen. And I think each game he's gotten better, right? Over the course of the game 1, game 2 to game 3, there is a progression there. So at least there's not a degression where we're seeing Derek Carr get worse and worse and worse as the games go on. We've only lost these games by one possession, you guys. It's literally plays here and there. It's small plays. I know it's frustrating, but if the Raiders can get their first win here and go after a Kansas City team that just lost to the Indianapolis Colts, if you could find some way to get a win against the KC Chiefs and go into the bye week 2 and 3, you can breathe a little bit because there's a lot of football to go. But the Raiders have to go out here and start with the Denver Broncos and go 1-0.
Facts. I like how you brought that up because I was talking to you about that earlier. That DC got better from game 1 to game 3. It's a huge difference, and you don't even have to look at the stat line. Just look at Derek Carr in the pocket first game. He looked so stiff, like he didn't know where the pressure was coming from. He just looked like it didn't look like DC. He didn't look confident. And then you look at the Titans game where he's moving around the pocket. He's actually running for 9 yards, 8 yards, or whatever. He's moving around the pocket, making throws, rolling out. He looks way more comfortable. And man, it's crazy.
You know what's annoying is like everybody's like DC's gonna miss wide open people, but honestly, if anybody watches game film, every other play, every 3 plays, whatever the case may be, you could dissect and pause the frame at any given moment and see a wide receiver that has separation where the quarterback didn't go. That's football. That's what drives me nuts. So these people that nitpick, are there times where coverage units completely take wide receivers out of the football game? Yes. It's not like Derek Carr has 6 eyes to throw. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I feel like a lot of people look into it a lot. Did he miss some throws to Devontae Adams that was wide open? Yes. But was he favoring a Mac Hollins that finished with 158 yards and honestly put the offense on his back against the Titans? Yeah. You know what I mean? Devontae had his opportunity on the sideline. Foot was out of bounds. He tried to go back to him in the back of the end zone. Him and Darren Waller had a miscommunication on these choice routes. Another big error. So Derek Carr is trying to find a guy who's reliable right now in the offense that he can consistently go to instead of playing this forcing game with the football. So I think people need to chill out a little bit. The Devontae Adams thing is going to come. But right now we have to find an identity.
Yeah, and I know I'm behind in the chat. Faded Black says, and what's with all the trickery plays? One time is fine, but more than that. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't like trick plays like that when you're down 14 points. No. I don't even like trick plays. When you have Devontae Adams and Darren Waller,
you just go play all these.
Exactly. Like we can beat these guys. Like we can beat guys based off the talent we have. Usually when I see teams do trick plays, it means that they can't get open.
Right.
So the other team is they're locking them up. So they're trying to figure out ways to get open, but I don't know, man. I'm not a huge fan.
The screen game has been predictable too. Like some of the times that he's been calling these screens, like especially to Brandon Bolden, when they make the substitution and Brandon Bolden comes in the game, it's just. I like screens. Man. I want to get that involved, but it's got to be more unpredictable. You know what I mean? It just has not worked really.
805 with these weapons, brother. Mismatch should not be hard to find. Facts, 100%. Let's see. I know I'm behind in the chat. Waller left 3 touchdowns on the plate. Not DC's fault. Just saying. Yeah, man. You know what I mean? But you know what? Just to be fair, though, DC had his moments. Obviously Waller's having his moments, so it's gonna come. They just need to put like we said earlier, the Raiders need to put together a complete game, and hopefully they can do that against the Broncos. ONT6 says Waller needs to be at practice instead of partying with his lady. His head was not in the game on Sunday. Was he partying? I don't know. I'm not all in his social media and stuff like that, so I don't know what he's doing. But facts, sub to Pharaoh and Ray Nation, hit the like button. Yeah, make sure if you guys haven't already, man, subscribe to Raider Ray over here. He just recently got to 1K, so he's doing some magic over there. He's making it happen over there. So make sure to subscribe to him, and also subscribe to me, man. The road to 1K continues, man. The algorithm is very real. So the more you guys like the video, the more you guys subscribe, I can keep coming back. Raiders 85 says any other coach had our weapons would be 0-3. I don't think so. If any other coach had our weapons, would we be? It's hard to say. I know you can make that argument. There's some. Hey, coaching has been questionable. Carr hasn't played that great this season. His accuracy is all the way down. I think he's at 60%, which is about 24th in the league. So DC hasn't been all the way there.
But it's gotten better. It has gotten better.
It's gotten better. So I'm not. But the thing is that they haven't put it together and they haven't had a complete game.
No, this is a team loss, man. This isn't just let's throw stones at DC or this is honestly ultimate team losses. You can honestly look at the defensive side of the football. They held it down the second half of the football game, but the first half, dude, when you let up 21 points, you know what I mean? They went 3 for 3 in the red zone. All this stuff has to change. You could honestly point fingers multiple directions, so this ultimately the Raiders organization has to come together and play as a team. Right now they're playing as two separate entities. The offense is creating their own rhythm and the defense is kind of playing their own rhythm, and at the same time both of them don't even know what they're really doing. Not that they don't know what they're doing professionally, they don't have an identity, so it comes down to the Raiders coaching staff and the players being in sync and playing 4 quarters of football. I can't emphasize that enough.
Facts, 100%. Salute SC, man. Appreciate you pulling up. Man. Let's see. Van City Young G. Okay. Play calling with suspect. Yeah, man. We can make an argument for everybody that on this team. You know what I mean? Whether it's offense, defense, coaching, we all talk about it. But let's get back to the Broncos. The Broncos on offense, man. So let me know your thoughts on the Broncos offense.
So the Broncos offense, offensively, they're struggling. Their offensive line is still a little bit shaky. Russell Wilson, typically in his career, he started off fast. Those first 6 to 7 games is when he starts fast. And over his career, the second half of the season is where he starts to dip. If you're paying attention to the Broncos offense, he hasn't found a rhythm yet. So typically, they're kind of in a similar situation as the Raiders, right? They're coming in with a new head coach, new system, new scheme, and they're struggling to find an identity offensively. They have a good running back duo in Williams and Gordon, so I expect them to try to offer the running game against the Raiders this Sunday. But you just can't let this be the game that Russell Wilson gets his legs going and takes those shots downfield. The Raiders have got to be heads up. I think hopefully if we can get Trayvon Merrick back this week, I'm hoping that's the case, because you're going to have that blanket over the top of this defense to really keep an eye out for the deep ball. If you can neutralize the deep ball and keep this running game contained a little bit, I think that this offense will struggle against the Raiders defense. And hopefully I'm expecting a bigger game out of Bilal Nichols to attack the interior of the Broncos defense. So keep an eye on Bilal Nichols to be a little bit disruptive, but also a guy like Max Crosby. Max Crosby is your best pass rusher. He's going against a matchup this week that I think he could take advantage of. So when you're a franchise player like Max Crosby and you're given all that money, all that cap space, these are the games that you show up, especially when you're 0-3 and you need a win. I'm looking for Max Crosby, Bilal Nichols, this defensive line, to really try to get after Russell Wilson as best as possible. So overall, nothing on the Broncos offense scares me, but I really do respect Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. They do have weapons. I respect the running game. So the Raiders they have to come up and they have to come and show up ready to play. They've got to play Raiders smash mouth football. I'd like to see a lot more press man. I don't want to see zone this week. So really, man, the offense isn't something to be afraid of. It should really look as an opportunity for the Raiders defense, but we'll see on Sunday.
to dominate. Hopefully we can dominate them. If we can't dominate the Broncos offense, then our defense, man, might be the worst in the league. Me and Ray were laughing earlier because we found out that the Broncos defense is allowing 12 points per game, which is crazy. You know what I mean? That's a crazy amount. Obviously they just came off a win where they won 11-10. That's only happened once in history, and that was with the Steelers and the Chargers back in 2008, which is crazy. You win a game 11-10, that's a crazy win right there. But that being said, the Broncos offense is averaging 14.3 points. They're allowing teams to score 12 points, but that's crazy, yo.
That is crazy.
That's
but dude,
crazy.
like, it's such a defensive team. Like, if the Broncos go out here and put up 27, 28 points on the Raiders, something went wrong, over what they've been showing over the first 3 weeks of the year. But it's one of those games again, dude. Every single week we've been talking about these matchups where it makes these games very unique. Last week, you know what I mean? It was two teams that don't have a win yet. Stylistically, it was a tough matchup. You go into this week again, and you've got two offenses who are struggling to find out who they are. In this game, okay, not over the course of the season, but in this game, who is going to be the team that finds it and clicks on offense? You know what I mean? You could look at the Denver Broncos defense and say that they're playing better than the Raiders defense. You could look at the Raiders offense and say, hey, they've had more success than the Denver Broncos offense. So, dude, it's another one of those weeks where you don't really know what's going to happen, and it's going to come down to which team wants it more. And hopefully the Raiders show up ready to play.
Facts 100%. Tier up for 30 says we're an offensive team, take the lead early so Max and Chandler could get to the QB. Hey man, I want to see if that's gonna unlock Chandler Jones. I want to see it. Yeah, I definitely want to see it. And obviously the offense, like we said earlier, the team needs to show up. The team needs to show up. They need to put a full game together. But going back to the Broncos offense, a lot of their issues have come from the fact that their receivers are struggling. Honestly, Jerry Jeudy. Some people have kind of been throwing that word bust around with Jerry Jeudy just based off the inconsistency.
I would say this, bro. The Raiders might be without Nate Hobbs this week. They're down Anthony Averett. You know what I mean? We talked about this at the beginning of the season when we got rid of Trayvon Mullen. If injuries start to hit this defensive back room, you have a lot of questions. The Raiders went out and signed another defensive back today to their practice squad, so it tells me that Nate Hobbs is probably – who knows, bro? He might not be clear to play. So you're talking about a Rock Ya-Sin. You're talking about depth pieces now. You're going to be seeing Sam Webb probably make his debut for the Silver and Black. So, dude, if there is a game where the Denver Broncos receivers like a Jerry Jeudy, who's a really good route runner, and a Cortland Sutton, who's a big play, big threat, has 300 yards on the year, and has been Russell Wilson's go-to guy, this is the game where they could actually exploit the Raiders' defensive back room.
Yeah, that's the other side to it, is the fact that we're beat up right now on the defensive side of football. Averett, you said, I don't know if you mentioned Averett, he's on the injured reserve. Nate Hobbs can possibly miss this week. I mean, based off like history, when players get concussions now, they're missing a game. It almost seems like they're not going to make that game unless, like, depending on how serious it is. But yeah, Sutton for the Broncos is a baller. The dude's a monster. I think he's 5th in the league in yards, right, receiving yards. So
he's their biggest
guy that you definitely want to have health in the secondary if he's coming to town. But yeah, the Broncos, man, I just feel like Patrick Graham needs to put a good enough game plan to stop that offense. They're averaging 14.3 points a game.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be a week where you're going to have to activate Nickel Roby-Coleman. I think everybody kind of has forgotten about that signing a little bit. So Nickel Roby-Coleman's going to get activated. Sam Webb you're probably going to see. So thankfully, Sam Webb is a long, lengthy corner with good speed, good size. I liked what he was able to do in the preseason. He played aggressive in man coverage, which is what the Raiders want to see. So while we're beat up, I do have slight optimism that if it could be good enough for a game, that's what we're looking for until we get Nate Hobbs back. Nate Hobbs, dude, he's just that security blanket. He can move all over the field. He's just a dog. So hopefully his concussion isn't that serious, and hopefully it's not something that lingers throughout the course of the season. But yeah, that's where I'm kind of at with the defensive back room. You're at all levels, bro. The safety position, the defensive backs, they're shaking up.
Yeah, Debo says Denver has a good secondary. He wants to talk about the defense. He says need to incorporate DA. I might be behind too. I am behind, but needs to incorporate DA somehow. Plus Jacobs needs carries. Facts, 100% facts. Devontae Adams. The thing about Devontae Adams is that even with Green Bay, everybody knew that he was getting the ball, but they always found ways to get him the ball. Like when you have a number one option, the defenses are going to know that. So you're going to have to figure out ways to get your number one star involved. And a combination of that has been the fact that, they're still getting used to everything is still a work in progress. And I think Devontae Adams is one of those guys that he's going to get going, especially when DC and him click, because I don't want to say that him and DC are clicking just yet. I mean, it's been a while since they played in college, but I know it's going to work because they want it to work and it's going to happen. But Josh Jacobs definitely needs to get some carries. What's your thoughts on that?
No, for sure. I mean, we kind of talked about it, right? Josh Jacobs has to be. I think Josh Jacobs is the focal point of the offense this week. And I know everybody wants to see the Devontae Adams, and I do agree with you. We've got to get him involved. I want to see him against Patrick Surtain, but I also want to see him against Ronald Darby. Move Devontae Adams around like they've been doing, and just let him and DC organically develop that relationship. It's nothing that we have to go back and force. It's gonna come, Raider Nation. It really is. It's just like you were talking about in your video about this offense is a sleeping giant. It's not a matter of if, it's when, and these two are gonna connect. Devontae and DC will get on the same page. If it's this week, great. Now I do think that you need to still get Devontae in that 10 to 14 target range this game. Use him in the red zone, back shoulder fades. But also find ways, scheme him open more. That's something that I get frustrated with this offense. Is I want to see guys schemed more. There's so many choice routes going on in the offense, and I feel like Derek Carr did such a good job with John Gruden when you were developing guys and getting guys involved, putting them in positions to be successful. And I want to see that a little. I think it would help DC if they kind of had plays schemed for Devontae specifically. But who knows, man? I think Josh Jacobs is going to be the key hog for this offense. At least it should be, right? Me and you have been saying it for the past 3 weeks, really. I mean, we've wanted to see Josh Jacobs since the Chargers game. That was a key focal point of that game. So we've been begging for it for the last 3 weeks. And when they've gone to Josh Jacobs, we've seen the Raiders have success. It's just they tend to get away from the run game in crucial moments when, honestly, you should almost put an overemphasis on the run game.
Facts. And there's nothing wrong with offensive-minded coaches wanting to pass more. I mean, look at Andy Reid, how much success he has. But at the end of the day, you got to run to at least keep the defense honest. And I felt like we don't run when we're not supposed to run. We pass when we're not supposed to pass. It just, everything is a little bit off. And I feel like once that comes together, everything will be a little bit better. But Tien Gain, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name correctly. If A. James is good to play this week, what is your starting O-line?
You want me to take it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So starting from the left side, obviously Cole Miller's a lock. Left guard, I think you actually stay with Alex Bars. Center, you go Andre James. Right guard, you're going to go Dylan Parham, and I think you kick Jermaine Illuminor back out to right tackle. Now, it's not ideal that we're changing up the rotation. However, I do think Alex Bars played a good game. He got that unsportsmanlike conduct late in the game, which is actually it was garbage. The referees in this game, when it came to the offensive line penalties, it was pretty suspect. Like, DC got hit late on that play. Alex Barr stood up for his quarterback. Anytime that happens, I'm typically for it. I think it was just a weak call by the refs. I think it was kind of out of pocket. And then, so really, I like the offensive line situation if Andre James is healthy. I think he's actually a key focal point of the Raiders' offensive line. And with them missing Draymond Jones on the interior of this defensive line, if you can get Andre James involved in the power gap scheme going against this interior defensive line, again, we go back to Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs has a real opportunity to have a successful day. So hopefully the Raiders, you guys hear it over here, man. We preach it all the time. If the Raiders will run this offense through Josh Jacobs, you're going to see a high amount of success.
Facts, 100%, man. So let's actually get into get into a matchup that you're looking forward to watch. Like, what's a key matchup that you're looking at?
For me personally, it comes down to I'll kind of get away from the Josh Jacobs train since we've just kind of been talking about that quite a bit. I'm going to go to the linebacker situation against Josie Jewell and Jonas Griffin. Now, Josie Jewell is a good field general linebacker, Raider Nation. He's going to be a guy who's going to get this defense in their plays. He's going to be wearing the green dot, and he's a good player. Josie Jewell, I want to test their coverage skills, though. So a guy like Jonas Griffin kind of plays that Divine Diablo role for the Raiders. He's hit or miss here in coverage. He's a little bit, I would say he's a little bit better than Divine Diablo when it comes to pass coverage. But I think that this is a game, like I was talking about Darren Waller being a self-motivator. This is a game where you get Darren Waller involved with matchups, specifically over the middle of the field, and let Derek Carr go to work. So the linebacker situation is something that I'm looking at because I think the Darren Waller matchups is going to come based off of the effective run game, especially if Josh Jacobs can get going. I think it's going to benefit a guy like Darren Waller. Also, I kind of mentioned it earlier, Caden Stearns, Justin Simmons' replacement. He's struggling. He's struggling right now. He's kind of like the leaky, the bleeding hole on the Denver Broncos defense. So if the Raiders can get vertical and attack this defense, it's Caden Stearns and it's Kareem Jackson. So if these guys can win their matchups at the line of scrimmage and get vertical like we did last week against the Titans, I say you develop a run game, play action, and then take your shots vertically when the defense gives you those opportunities.
I agree 100%. I'll throw into Darby. You know what I mean? I'm not afraid of Darby. I feel like we got the players that could take advantage of him. I feel like I believe in their other guy. I don't know, his name is like running my mind, but what I'm saying is Darby is not a guy that like I feel like can match up with Devontae Adams. And I'm not gonna lie, Hollins showed me a little bit of something. If he's getting one-on-ones and they're blitzing, Hollins looked like a guy that he'll take advantage of those one-on-ones. You know, he's showing me a little bit of his route running. He's showing me a little bit of his jump ball ability. His chemistry with Carr right now early on is looking, you know, it looks good. You know what I mean? Like I started the show, Hollins, his production has me thinking of all the possibilities with this offense. So
and it doesn't have to be that splashy every week. But the fact that they have a natural chemistry, I think that's pretty evident now, 3 weeks into the season. Derek Carr and Mac Hollins, arguably, he has the most chemistry with Mac Hollins of anybody on this offense.
Right now. At this very moment, yeah, for sure. For sure. 3 times says our fans are popping champagne bottles in the third quarter. Yeah, I seen that, man. I don't know if they're really fans though. I think they're just there to enjoy the experience of Vegas.
You know what sucks, bro? Is like I feel like the Raiders had something so special out in the Bay. Like when you went to the black hole, bro, when you pulled up to Alameda, it was so different. And I feel like we kind of lost that a bit. Now that's not to say that the new stadium isn't special and it's a beautiful stadium and practice facility. All that obviously is something that the Oakland Raiders should have had a long time ago. But to see all that, bro, it feels too Vegas to me, bro.
I know.
You know when you got a club,
I wanted them to stay in Oakland. I wanted them to stay in Oakland, but it's just the politics. It didn't make sense for Mark Davis. You know what I mean? If a city's gonna pay for like over half your stadium, you're probably owner's probably gonna take that.
I know.
But we got 46 in the building, man. I'm gonna make a public service announcement. Please make sure to like and comment and subscribe. Also, go ahead and do that for Raider Ray. We do a weekly show. This week it's on my channel. Next week is going to be on his channel. So you want to make sure you subscribe to both. And, man, so we can keep coming back, man. And we're trying to figure out a name for the show, too, as well. So if you guys got any ideas, throw out names for the show. The other day I was texting him, like, some names, and I was like, yeah, we gotta have Raider Nation co-sign on the name, man. We can't just come out with a name and it just hella goofy.
And Raider Nation, I threw one out there today with Max Crosby and Cleve Farrell. I called it the Salt and Pepper Show. So I don't think
I sent him a GIF where I was just like, nah, I don't know about that. But you know, we'll figure it out. We'll let the nation decide. But Austin Martinez says if Raiders execute at the end of the drives, the defense can start playing a lot more aggressive. If Raiders can execute at the end of drives, the defense can start playing a lot more aggressive.
Are you talking about red zone efficiency, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you could reword that question or that comment, Austin. And I know I'm behind. I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to get to every comment here. Raider Gay was good, man. I appreciate you pulling up. Salute to everybody that's coming through, man. It means a lot. Let's see. Let me get back to it. But let's get back to the game. Let's get back to the game.
Right.
So, what's your score prediction? It's early because I know the injury reports haven't come out, but we could we can estimate, we can guesstimate.
I think the Raiders offense finds a way to get it done. I think that this is going to be a 24-17, a 23-20 type of ordeal. That's what I see this game. It's going to be another close one. I can only go off of recent history. These last 3 games have been really close. So I think this is yet again going to come down to the wire, and hopefully the Raiders offense can find a way. I'm going 23-20 Raiders.
23-20 Raiders. I'm going to go, let's see, they're averaging 21 points per game, and that's actually good for 11th in the league. That's crazy. Scoring is down in the NFL. Like 21 points in any other league, we would probably want to be one of the worst offenses in the league. But this year,
early, bro. The league feels weird right now. It's still so early. There's so much football left to go.
I know. I'm going to go, let me go 24-14.
Raiders?
They're going to hit their average. The Broncos are going to hit their 14-point average. They average 14 points a game. They're going to hit their average this game. But the Raiders are going to go a little bit above the average. I think it's going to be 24-14 Raiders, in my opinion. And who's your key player in the game, player of the game?
I hate to sound like a broken record, but I want to go Josh Jacobs.
Yeah,
I think he's such a cog, but hey, man, if I'm gonna go, like I've been trying to do it a little bit different. I don't want to keep doing like typical names. So this week on the defensive side of the football, man, I'm gonna go. It's a toss between Bilal Nichols and Rock Yassin. I'm kind of curious. I'm gonna go Bilal Nichols.
Bilal Nichols.
Yep.
Okay.
I think he going against these guards. I think he has an opportunity with so much attention that's going to be going against Max and Chandler on the edges here. I think if somebody can step up on the interior of this defensive line, that's going to be huge for the Raiders this week.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna go Darren Waller. I think he has a bounce back game. I think everybody was hard on him. Everybody was talking about how you dropped this, you dropped that. I think the coaching staff, they're probably watching the film in front of the whole team. They probably seen that attempt, that lazy attempt that he had when he was wide open. I did not like where he put his hand out like that. I'm just like, why don't you just put 2 hands out? Just put 2 hands out. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like it was a catchable ball. I know it wasn't pinpoint accurate by Derek Carr, but come on, man, you getting your highest paid tight end this year. You got to show me a little bit better than that, man. I think he'll step up.
He will. I really do. Typically, when Darren Waller has a game like he had last week, just really, really atrocious, he comes back. He bounces back in a big way. I think you're going to see a motivated, determined, focused Darren Waller on Sunday. He is the circled one I have, but I went Josh Jacobs heavy just because I think he's more of a focal point. But as I was alluding earlier, so I've got Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller, and then I've got Max Crosby, Bilal Nichols, and Rock Yassin on defense.
Okay. You said defense. Okay, defense. Chandler Jones, man. Are you the Russell Wilson stopper? You know what I mean? Because remember during the offseason, they were talking about Chandler Jones having the most sacks against Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson gets traded to Denver, and everybody's making a joke about it. But Chandler Jones, man, you don't have a sack to the season. Is this going to be the week that you get a sack on Russell Wilson? I'm going to get him. I'm going to pick him this week.
I mean, coming game 4 with a historic career like you've had, yeah, you'd expect this to be the week that you get a sack. But we heard that last week against, Ryan Tannehill was the game that Chandler Jones sacked him 5 times or whatever that number was. I believe it was 5. And it's like he was a ghost in that game, So here and there he showed up. I'm not going to say he was a complete ghost. But look, 4 games into the season, you're 0-3. Chandler Jones needs to step up because that boy has committed robbery so far.
Yeah, facts. So let's get into the chat, man. Like, I want to hear y'all thoughts, man. Question and comments. You know what I mean? We've been talking a little bit. I know I haven't been good at like getting to all the comments, but we're gonna focus on talking to the chat today, the nation, see how they're feeling.
Right, and chat, let us know a show name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let us know a show name too as well. Yeah, like
I want to hear some creative aspects from you guys. Like I want to see what you guys have? Is there anything specific that comes to your guys' mind? Let's just throw something out there. We've got some ideas, but we want this also to be kind of chat and fan driven. So you guys also have a say in that.
Facts, 100%. Raider Gabe says Waller was a big disappointment Sunday. Yeah, man, we were talking about it. Time for Sam Webb to step up. Yeah, but I don't know, man. I'm not 100% confident.
Right. There's a reason why guys have practice squad. Like I like Sam Webb. I like his ability in man coverage, but he is a developmental piece. Let's not act like he's a Nate Hobbs right now.
Exactly. Why did we trade Mullen? You're gonna have to ask Dave Z on that one. That one was just, to be honest with you, the reason why they traded him was I felt like it wasn't a smooth transition when Dave Z and McDaniels got here with Mullen. I think that they rubbed each other the wrong way. Just reading tea leaves. You hear Mullen on social media saying some cryptic tweaks all offseason. He was out with injury all offseason. And then when it came down to it, the dude was super excited to go to Arizona. Why were you super excited to leave the Raiders, man? Like, we got Devontae Adams, we got Derek Carr, we got all these. Why are you super excited to leave? You know what I mean? So it tells me that he wasn't really he didn't really like it with McDaniels and the coaching staff. And
I think he also kind of took a turn too personally in his personal life. Like, up until his release, I was seeing how much he was clubbing. He was on the yachts with a bunch of females, and that's not the same Trayvon Mullen I seen those first 2 years of his career. You know what I mean? I seen a kid who was locked in, getting work in with Antonio Brown at the time. And he was just focused on his craft. And to be honest with you, I felt like Trayvon Mullen was underrated. You know what I mean? Like, when he was healthy and good to go, Trayvon Mullen was a good DB for the Raiders. He was arguably probably the best DB the Raiders had outside of Casey Hayward. So, you know, it's unfortunate to see these guys kind of – and that's going to be the thing about Vegas, dude. You're going to see some kids' true colors once they walk into some money. You know, once their life gets changed around a little bit. I mean, look at the Henry Ruggs situation, you know. You walk in a lot of money, you're on the strip. It's going to be an aspect that I feel like the Raiders are going to have to navigate. And we'll see, man. You're just going to have to be careful on the guys who you draft, really.
Yeah, man. And another thing, too, as well, is that he was on his last year of his deal. They felt like they were not going to sign him, so they try to get something for him. That's pretty much where it is. The reason why they possibly traded him as well. But Van City says Sam Webb is going to be a baller in this league. You heard it here first. All right, Van City, hey, man, if he's not a baller, man, we going to always bring it up. We're going to hold
you accountable. We got the receipts, Van City, so if he goes out here and loses this game for us, we're coming after you.
Sean says, just tuned in, fellas. Appreciate you pulling up. He says, how are we feeling about this week? I feel good, man. Hey, when an offense averages 14 points a game, and that's the bar right there, we just got to score more than 14 points, and we could win. We have a good chance of winning.
I will say this, my gut feeling, I feel better about the Denver Broncos matchup than I did the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, definitely.
That's just my gut.
Definitely, because think about it. Every team that we've lost to, every team that we lost to, literally had established systems, established coaches, and while we're figuring out like our stuff and we're making all these mistakes, now we face the Broncos where they're having issues on offense. Right. At the end of the day, they're having all types of issues on offense. But they're 2-1. They're finding ways to win, and part of the reason is because their defense is playing lights out. But that being said, like this is definitely a winnable game.
No, I agree. Look, it's not a very good Denver offense right now. So if they go out there, like I said, if they go out there and they put up 24, 28 points, it might be a little bit of a struggle for the Raiders offense, especially with the kind of defense that they're about to go up against. Time of possession is going to be huge, bro. Like, I think we've been on it the last 3 weeks. It's just essential that we get the running game going.
Yeah. Circus Raider says, honestly, still don't care. Mullen was traded. Yeah, he would have been extra body, but I don't trust his injury history. That's true. He was hurt. How ironic that we trade Mullen, who we used to call injury prone forever, who now on IR. Yeah, that's pretty ironic, man. That's crazy. That's how it works sometimes. There's a chance Avery comes back this week? Nah. He's not going to come back. I think he's not eligible to come back, what, 2 more games? Two more games? 2 more games. And then, sometimes they got to get back in shape. It's not automatic that they play the week they're available.
Yeah, I'd look for after the bye week.
Yep, that's true. We have a bye week after the Chiefs game. Raiders all day says, what about Perriman Morick? Hey, I think they might have a good chance of playing this week because they were a game-time decision, it felt like, or they were questionable heading into the Titans game, but we'll see. We'll see if Perriman. No, Perriman was listed out. Was Perriman listed
Perriman
out?
was listed out. I think Trayvon Merrick might have a shot to come out and play.
Yeah.
There has been no news front on the Blake Martinez signing. They haven't brought in the linebacker, which tells me that Denzel Perryman might be looking to get back here soon.
Yeah. White Tights he has to miss at least 4 games. Okay. Need more. Okay, yeah, we definitely need more back as soon as possible, man. I don't want to see Roderick Teamer out there, man. He's not the dude, man, that you want to see back there in the defensive side of the ball.
I've seen Raiders of the Lost Tomb as a show name.
Raiders of the Lost Tomb, man. I didn't want to make it too much
Like
my channel
Pharaoh.
focus because I want to incorporate Raider Ray because he's also one half of the show as well. So we'll figure it out. I mean that sounds like a cool name. We need James back to get this running game going. You know what? Our running game when we did run when we do run the ball, we're effective. You know what I mean? It's not a matter of us not being effective when we run the ball. It's a matter of us committing to the run game, staying. You don't have to run more than you pass. Just make sure you run when you're supposed to run. Especially when we get down to the red zone, we're struggling in the red zone, man. We're struggling. I think last week we had 2 touchdowns, 1 turnover, 3 field goals, and that's just not a recipe to win games, man. We got to make sure when we get there, we got to score touchdowns.
Get back to simplifying the game. Once you get inside that 20, get back to playing smash mouth football. You know what I mean? Like I've seen the Patriots do it for so long. You know what I mean? It's just to play physical, and you can make the argument that this offensive line is more built to be an effective run blocking unit than it even is in pass pro. So the fact that you're not putting your offense in the situation to find its best success, it's just hopefully this is the game where Josh McDaniels, something we haven't talked about. He's going against his former team. You know, he used to coach for the Denver Broncos. So this is going to be a matchup where I feel like Josh McDaniels is probably going to be have a little bit of added sauce to the offensive scheme. So, hey, we'll see.
Yeah, White Tights is more questionable last week. Anyone know if he's practicing? We won't find out tomorrow. Tomorrow is when the injury report gets released. So we'll figure out where Morig is at. I mean, I think he was a game time decision in Tennessee. I think he flew out to Tennessee and then they listed him inactive. So there was a chance that he was going to play against the Titans. So I'm thinking that he's going to be coming back this week, but we'll see what the injury report says tomorrow. See if he's practicing, if he's limited, if he's still not practicing. We'll see.
This
he was
one
limited all last week.
Van City says Raiders of the Lost Tomb, but Raiders is spelled RAYDERS. Raiders.
Maybe. Once we put it, we're gonna put a list together and then we'll just put it out on social media and have y'all vote for it or something like that.
Sure.
But we'll see. Raider Gabe says, I seen a defense who couldn't hold a leak in the first half that puts us behind the 8 ball. Waller, who played his worst game in the Raiders uniform, and coach staff that keeps questioning themselves. Man, Raider Gabe, man, he's coming. He was at the game. He was live in Tennessee, watching the game live, man. So he's seen that stuff right in front of his face. So I definitely know he has strong.
Dude, 2 months ago, that was a game I was planning on going, and I'm kind of glad I didn't. I was about to buy a ticket. I was like, I don't know.
Man, yeah, I gotta go to a game this year. I'm gonna catch a game. I don't know. I'm still figuring that out. Austin Martinez says, how many stars are we missing on defense at this point? I think Ray, you touched on it earlier. Morig, Perriman, Averett, Hobbs. Was Averett was the nickel, right? When Hobbs was okay. So a nickel's basically a starter in today's NFL. So
yeah. I mean, we're really out 4 starters right now.
Yeah. So we're going against a terrible offense, but we are kind of banged up a little bit.
Look, when we say terrible offense, look, they got potential, bro. It's kind of like the same with the Raiders. When are they going to break? You know, they've got Williams, they've got Gordon, they've got a good running game. They really do. They've got a quarterback, who has shown over the course of his career that he can be a good thrower of the football. They've got weapons on the outside, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. I mean, on paper, they're a talented offense. So it's just like the Raiders situation. So I'm just waiting for these teams to kind of break out. And if the Broncos team offensively could break out, they're going to be a tough team, just how good they are defensively.
Yeah. I mean, if they're holding teams 12 points a game, I mean, you did make a point earlier saying they haven't, and I think someone in chat mentioned it too. They haven't really played any offensive juggernaut. So
Well, yeah, we talked about that before we went live. That they haven't faced an offense with offensive firepower. But when you're a defense that's let up 19 points in the last 10 quarters, you don't really need that proficient of an offense. You know what I mean? So,
right.
Hopefully the Raiders can go out here and hit their average. If they can hit their average and Denver hits their average, you're looking at a Raiders win. So,
yeah. Daniel Kim says, "Yo, great evening. When can we jump on a live and talk Raiders football? And we're gonna make that happen. We're gonna have a chat show. We're gonna have people come on. We'll talk about it behind the scene, me and Ray, and we'll make that happen. Because right now we're only doing it once a week.
Right.
But hey, we might have like a show over the weekend. Like a pregame show, postgame show, something like that, or we'll figure it out. But we definitely want to have people come on and talk football, man. We gotta talk to the nation for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Van City says, "Hey, get Zeus going." Hey, man, that's another thing. We got 5 running backs.
And we've seen enough of Brandon Bolden, bro. I'm kind of over it. I really,
bro. Like, what's going on here, man? Like, how do you keep 5 running backs and not use? You're only using like maybe one. Bolden.
Daniel says loyal to the soil with Pharaoh and Raider Ray.
Say that again.
Podcast name: Loyal to the Soil with Pharaoh and Raider Ray.
Loyal to the soil. Okay. That could be a possibility. All right. I'm behind in the chat, so I'm not seeing all these names that's getting thrown out. Ray Romero says it should have been working already since week 1. Honestly, there should be no excuse. I'm frustrated with all the losses, not enough productive effort from the team. Yeah, we're all frustrated at the end of the day. Yeah, definitely. We had everybody. I think everybody in Raider Nation did not expect us to be 0-3. But the fact is, it is, and the Raiders are struggling in certain areas on the team. But when they put it together, like I'm still not questioning the talent. I'm still not questioning the coaching staff. I am, but like at the end of the day, like I know what they're capable of. And I think I just want to say this real quick. I think that someone left a comment on one of my videos, and they said that I don't know if it was D Menace. It might have been D Menace. He said something to the fact, do you think Josh McDaniels needs to give up his game day responsibilities? And you know what? It made me think. It made me think about. I don't know if it was game day responsibilities, but it made me think because Josh McDaniels is a really good play caller. He's a really good play caller. Like that's his reputation as an offensive coordinator, though. Now, as a head coach, with all those responsibilities, do you think possibly that he gets somebody over there? Me
personally, I kind of like with the John Gruden situation. You get a guy who the NFL creates egos, and you get these guys who are offensive-minded coaches, and they come into an organization. They've got head coaching roles, head coaching responsibilities, but yet at the same time they want to call the plays offensively. I'm of the camp of you've got an offensive coordinator, a guy who's followed you. Trust that offensive coordinator, a lot like what Andy Reid does, right? He gives a lot of freedom to Eric Bieniemy over there to go out there and call a play. Now, that's not to say that Eric is a good offensive play caller consistently. However, it's just when you have a guy in your back pocket like that, and you're in a situation where you're 0-3, maybe you put more responsibility of rallying this locker room and maybe give him the duties. Let him at least get a game, to see what it is he can do as a play caller. And if you can create any type of success, create any type of identity, then move forward with that and get your ego set aside, because Josh McDaniels is going to benefit from the success if your offensive coordinator can go out there and find a rhythm. Everybody, the fan base is going to look at Josh McDaniels with like, yeah, that was a good game plan. You're doing it right. We believe in you. So to me, when you're in a situation like this and it hasn't just worked, and you've got an 0-3 locker room and you're facing 0-4, let's face it, if the Raiders go out here and lose the game, you're talking about 0-4, and that's when things in the locker room start to get a little weird. So to me, I mean, I'm not against letting him call plays. I like that. I like when a head coach allows his staff to do what a staff does and not just kind of be a guy who holds the play call sheet. So I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I like it. I like it because I know what McDaniels is capable of as an offensive coordinator. We've seen multiple top 10 offenses, top 5 offenses, number 1 offenses. He's done it with different quarterbacks. So if you can make it easier for him, because someone was saying, I think I seen something to the effect where someone was talking about how Josh McDaniels has an issue with overthinking things. Maybe it might help him if he has someone on the staff that can handle some game day responsibilities that he doesn't have to worry about while he's focusing on the game. Because I know when we know that he could call a game, but the thing is that I think the fact that he has so much, it might be overwhelming for him right now, because it doesn't make sense why he's not running the ball as much as he has, like in certain spots. Like I don't get it. But Daniel Kim says, what about Harper? Don't remember if that name is right. He's a new pickup from New England. You talking about Heron?
Yeah, he's talking about Heron, the right tackle.
Right tackle. I think with him, they got him. They got a guy that that the coaching staff, they recognize from New England, a young player that they can develop. Now, if something were to happen where something doesn't work out, I guess it's another option where they can throw in that right tackle. But as right now, it's just a developmental piece.
I feel a little bit there because Heron's had times where he flashed specifically in the run game for New England. So them going out and getting him, does that mean that Illuminor is going to be your permanent guard? Is he going to be your swing guy? Are they going to roll with Mumford? My idea was, look, if they went out and got Heron, that means that they're going to roll with Mumford right now at right tackle, and you're going to go out and get a guy to compete with Thayer. So I don't know, man, but kind of talking to kind of go back, not to backtrack too much, but to talk about Josh McDaniels and the play calling and just with where the Raiders are right now. That's not to say that all the play calling duties has to get taken away from Josh McDaniels. You know what I mean? Say there's a crucial play and Josh McDaniels steps in, but I think it would be a good fresh start for the Raiders offense to kind of get another voice in there. And he's been in the system with Josh McDaniels, so it's not like you're gonna get too far away from it, but maybe you can get a guy who's more focused on committing to the run and maybe develop your offense off of that.
Yeah, I think, but Lombardi would be like, it would be risky though.
It would be very risky.
It would be risky if you were to give up. But you know what? Would you say it would be low risk, high reward type of situation? Because let's say if it doesn't work out, then McDaniels just takes over.
Yeah, but look, McDaniels has been calling the team for 3 straight games and we're 0-3. So I do look at it as low risk, high reward, because we've seen for 3 weeks now what we've got with Josh McDaniels. And that's not to take a shot at Josh as like he's some horrible play caller. It's just it hasn't been figured out yet. And they don't have any consistency. Maybe you can get a fresh set in there to be like, hey, this is what I see from this offense. Let's get Josh Jacobs going, and let me get these guys involved in a way that I see it. And then, like I said, if Josh McDaniels needs to override, say things start going wrong in the first half, and he goes into the second half of the game and it's like, hey, look, Mick, like I'm going to go take over the play calling for the second half of the game. You have that freedom and flexibility to do that.
Yeah. Look at this comment right here. White Tyson says, I've seen Diablo has allowed 17 receptions on 17 attempts, man.
You heard it here first. We told you that Divine Diablo is not a coverage linebacker. We told you.
Yeah. Man.
Unfortunately, I mean, I like Divine Diablo.
And it's not just him, though.
No, it's not. He's really good in the run game, Raider Nation. So I'm not here to bash on Divine Diablo. He's not effective in pass coverage. Like we talked about it a few weeks ago. We got all caught up in the Corey Littleton saga of how terrible he was in the Raiders scheme. And then when Divine Diablo came in, and it was an upgrade, but it doesn't mean that he's a good coverage linebacker. And I feel like that's shown. However, he is extremely aggressive, especially for his size, being a former safety, coming down in the box. He does play really good when it comes to the run defense. So I'll give him that credit.
Cool Kev says, put Coots in at middle linebacker. I think he's trolling. I don't think he believes that.
Yeah, Cool Kev, no. No.
Buddha says, I'm going to watch Mac H about to get 2 touchdowns. But hey, man.
I hope.
I did not know Mac Hollins had it in him. But I'm going to be honest with you. I thought that he could be a solid role player, but I wasn't expecting Hollins to do that. I mean, I'm expecting Devontae Adams to do that. I'm expecting Waller to do that. And maybe even Renfro. You know what I mean? Maybe Renfro has a big game, but 9 receptions, 158 yards, and a touchdown. You know, and you're like the 4th, 5th option on offense. Raiders are offense. It's, like I said, it's a sleeping giant, but you know they got to put it together. At the end of the day, they got the players, they got the ammunition, but you know they got to be able to utilize that. Van Seas, we have found our starting online, in my opinion: Miller, Bars, James, Parham, Mumford. So you're taking off Illuminor. You don't want to Illuminor. You're sending him back to the bench.
I don't think that's a good idea. That's me personally, but
Austin Martinez says, I heard it will be left tackle Miller, Parham left guard Parham, James, right guard Illuminor, right tackle Mumford.
That's more realistic.
Interesting. Hey, John's system has basically lost his, according to Sanjeev. Yeah, Sanjeev is a big on O-line, so and he's
got inside sources too. So.
Yeah, he got inside sources as well. So Luis Lopez, man, I appreciate that. Yeah, I had a moment. Patrick Surtain, man, dude's a monster. 10-day Bender says pulled up to Alameda. Stadium is not Alameda. Holmes, it's in Oakland. But the practice facility is in Alameda.
Yeah,
I think this is one you brought up earlier, but yeah, the practice facility was in Alameda.
Yeah.
That's what the Raiders used to practice, right next to not too far from the airport, Oakland Airport. Luis Lopez, that's why we got to win. Turn Vegas into Mystique once again. Hey, man, definitely. Alameda County, son. Buddha's dying off that. All right. Vance, you ready? I would have put D Harm left guard, Alex Bard right guard. Alex Bard, he didn't look bad in there, but I don't want him. I don't want him starting. Just all it takes is one game against a legitimate D tackle. Debo says, does McD have an issue with Kuntz? It's ridiculous he's not playing. Yeah. I you know what? I posed this question last show, and I was like, what is the issue with Kuntz? Why is he not getting on the football field? Does he have an issue with the coaching staff? Is there something that he's not doing on the practice field? He's not practicing hard enough? Because talent-wise, it's worth the risk to put him out there. When you have Max Crosby, obviously the number one top dog on that D-line, why don't you put him in a passing situation, in a third and long situation? Maybe it hasn't happened yet. Hopefully the opportunity presents itself this week against the Broncos. But yeah, hey man, that's a good question. That's something that I believe the beat writers need to ask Josh. They need to ask Josh McDaniels straight up, like, why is Kuntz not on the field?
Sometimes, dude, I question, like, are these guys told before, like, certain things not to ask? Because there's sometimes I don't know why they don't ask certain questions that are kind of obvious. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I feel like you can press these coaches more with being respectful about it. You can kind of press and get more information out of them, being more direct. But I don't know, bro. They just kind of need to do a better job.
Lewis says, if the other team is behind, we can put the pressure on the other side of the ball because we know they got to pass. That's what I'm saying, man. We got to.
You imagine if Raiders, like, the beat right, like if the Raiders organization let these content creators in there to ask questions.
If Raider fans were in there to ask
like
questions?
Raiders content creators, like if we were in there asking the questions, oh bro, it gets so bad.
Oh yeah, we would ask like every question. We probably talk some shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Maybe a couple of fights. I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I would do that, but there might be some people that would. Van City said we have a type of offense that once it clicks, it's gonna explode. Yeah. Hey, bro, I'm with you. Austin Martinez, if Raiders start scoring in the red zone, then it forces the other team to pass, so our offense can start blitzing and playing aggressive. Yeah, definitely, we need to start blitzing more. And I think we've seen a little bit of that in Tennessee. I have this stat somewhere, but it's something to the effect where I think the Raiders are like in the low 20s in blitz percentage. I think that needs to increase, man. We have 2 sacks on the season. I mean, I know it's early, it's 3 games, but we have 2 sacks, and it's all from one player.
Yeah, from one player.
It's all from one player, and I'm not seeing anybody step up in that role where they're also getting pressure. I mean, we've seen a little bit. Chandler Jones, he got a little hit in there where he forced the incompletion, but man, I was expecting more. You know what I mean? Especially based off last year, we thought we were getting a better player in Ngakoue, but obviously, Ngakoue is struggling in the Colts, by the way. I don't know if that makes anybody feel better. Matt gets 2 sacks. Chandler gets his first. Hey, I hope so. I picked Chandler Jones, man, to be a key player in the win. Chandler's playing a lot of coverage. Why? Well, I think you talked about this before against the Cardinals. They had him playing like in coverage they had him playing the lanes. You know what I mean? They didn't want to because when you play mobile QBs like Kyler Murray, you're gonna have to play him a different way. You can't just go all out. You know what I mean?
Which is why I don't necessarily know what kind of game he's going to have this week. Because if we're looking at the course of the last 3 weeks, Patrick Graham has been playing a lot of contain on these mobile quarterbacks. So Are they going to try to keep Russell Wilson inside the pocket and not let him get creative with his legs? If that's the case, I could see another similar game plan to what they've been doing with Chandler Jones, just using his experience out on the edge to set a good edge. Chandler does set a good edge. I think that is something that we don't talk about enough, especially on film. I know it's not flashy, it's not sexy, it's not something that the average person's going to pick up on. But when you go back and watch the film, Chandler sets a good edge. So, and that's honestly crucial for Patrick Graham's defense, especially when you have two finesse type of pass rushers on the outside and Max Crosby and Chandler Jones. Yeah, at some point you have to have good rules established in the defense.
Facts. Daniel Kim says we definitely need to go run heavy with JJ, swing Abdullah to the outside and pound White down the middle. Yeah, man, Zamir White needs to get some PT, but and not to say that he needs to do that just because Josh Jacobs has been struggling. I think Josh Jacobs need to get more carries.
Before
he's been too effective out there.
Right. Before Abdullah and Zeus and Bolden get more carries, Josh Jacobs needs more. So before you go even feed in the 4 that you got behind Josh, get Josh more carries first.
Man City says this week we'll find out if Chandler Jones is going to come to play all this year. He's made a career on sacking Russell Wilson. Yeah, that's why I picked him. I'm like, hey, man, if you sacked him the most, man, you must know something about sacking Russell Wilson. He must be doing something where you're getting most of your sacks from him. Let's see. D-Minutes Jones getting his first sack Sunday. I hope so. Yep, for sure. Let's see. Frustrated. Okay, Austin Martinez says Raider lost Tomb. Oh, okay, this is earlier. See, I'm behind. Let me try to catch up.
I would just skip down to the bottom a little bit.
Yeah, let me see.
Not to bypass people, but it is the kind of the same people, so you're not going to miss out too much, and they can re-comment too.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, let me start from here. So I'd say just give DC freedom to call plays. That's what he's saying.
I would like to see more of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we've seen like DC in 2-minute situations move the ball really effectively, and
right.
In a 2-minute situation, he has most of the line, most of the play calling responsibilities.
I think honestly, if we were a fly on the wall, I think he did have more freedom last week to kind of call plays, get in and out. And obviously he got way more creative with his legs and pushed the ball vertically downfield. So I honestly think, I mean, they might not come out and say it, but I think DC did have a little bit more freedom last week.
Yeah. OG Fade, it's not hard to allow. It's not hard to allow all those receptions when you play 10 yards off. It's not hard to allow all those receptions when you play 10 yards out. Are you speaking to Mac Hollins and how they were guarding him, or I'm trying to think?
No, he was talking about the offense of the Titans. It was when we were talking about the offense of the Titans, and because we were playing that cushion in the first half, that zone coverage defense, and we were playing 10 yards off the line of scrimmage, and so it was a comment from a while ago.
Yeah. Man, hey, man, if y'all haven't liked the video, make sure you like the video. The algorithm is very real. And make sure to subscribe because the road to 1K continues, man. And also my guy, Raider Ray, make sure to subscribe to his channel, like his videos. We want to keep coming back. So in order for us to keep coming back, you guys got to make sure and do your due diligence and just like the video and subscribe. Just hit a couple of buttons, even a notification, just to let you know when we go live or anything, we drop anything new. And like I said before, we're doing this. We're making this a weekly thing. So 1 week is on his channel, 1 week's on my channel. So you want to make sure you subscribe to both channels.
And it really does go a long way, you guys. A simple click, a like, a comment after this live stream ends. If you comment in Pharaoh's on this live stream when the video is done, when we're done going live, it also is huge for the algorithm. And look, share it to your social media. We're all Raider fans. We're all Raider family. We all tend to let other people know about content creators. So let's spread this show, man. Let's let it reach more Raider fans because it makes your interaction and our interaction just that much better. So Raider Nation, we appreciate that support.
Facts, 100%. 3 times says, I don't want to pop off on DC right now. I'm drained. Hey, don't, man. Save your energy, man. It's not worth it. To tell McClown how to just to shut up, he's got it. All right, okay. All right, White Tyson, I hate to say it, but Carr has to will this team to wins again. I've always liked Carr, but I'm not going to give him props for losses. Yeah. No, I understand. And that's why I said it's been a team loss. Like everybody hasn't been on the same page, whether that's Carr, whether that's the receivers, whether it's the coaching staff. It's just they haven't put up a complete game yet. And man, it's crazy how similar the start to this season is to 2018.
Right.
First game, Carr throws 3 picks against the Rams in 2018. First year in Gruden's offense. Second game, they play against the Denver Broncos. They give up a 12-point lead. Sound familiar? Arizona, 20-point lead, lose the game. Third game, they play against the Dolphins. And guess who's the quarterback of the Dolphins? Tannehill, and they lost. But the Raiders got their first win against the Browns in 2018. Carr those 4 touchdowns. Does he do it again? Does he do it this year? This week against the Broncos?
It sounds like a script, so probably. I hate when you go down through it because I'm like, I already know what's gonna happen. So
I'm just saying, man, and I'm not saying that the Raiders will have the same exact season as 2018 because we have too much talent. We have too much talent. We have a better coaching staff. We should be better, and we will be better, in my opinion. But we'll see, man. Like, hey, I've been surprised that they've been losing against some of these teams, like Arizona and like the Tennessee Titans. So hopefully they'll take care of business this week.
So D Menace says, how come you guys don't have super chats or super thanks on the channel? And it has to do with subscriber count. So I broke 1,000 subscribers, and now I have to get 4,000 watch hours. And so I'm probably like one live show away. So it's not going to be too long, and you guys are going to be able to do super chats and get that involved. So that'll be coming here shortly. But you guys, we had to grow this channel. You know what I mean? We're still I'm relatively new to the game. So I mean, we just have to develop it. These guys have been doing it consistently for years. That's why you're able to see them. So it's up to you guys. You know what I mean? So we need to get Pharaoh up to 1,000. We need to get those watch hours up. So everybody that's subscribed to my channel that came over, hey, go over to Pharaoh, man, and smash that. He only needs 300 more. I mean, he's grown a lot this last week. So the quicker we both can get to 1,000, the more interactive, the more we can do with this show moving forward. And look, we got a lot of plans and a lot of things for this show specifically moving forward that we want to add to it just to make it better for you guys. So it comes starting with you guys, man. You got to share the show. You got to let people know about the channel, and you got to show some love, and we'll get there.
Facts, 100%, man. Y'all going crazy in the chat, man. It's hard to keep up, man. But Daniel Kim says podcast name, and I know if I skipped y'all, man, hey, just try to if you can, just go ahead and like send your chat again. But I apologize. Night and day talking Raiders ball. Okay, night and day. Hey man, what's the salt and pepper reference? Night and day. I'm trying to stay away from it, y'all. I'm trying to stay away. It's just too obvious. It's too obvious. I'm not night and day talking Raiders ball or Pharaoh. Okay, man. But hey, I appreciate the effort, bro. I appreciate the effort.
Hey, look, man. I could just see us like in 3 years. We're like, man, when we started salt and pepper, it just funny, feels bro. Right.
That's funny. OG Faye is talking about Diablo. Okay, all right. It would be most Raider thing ever to drop 0 thing to smash the Donkeys Queefs. Thanks for his cardiac arrest. Hey man, if we can win back-to-back games against the Broncos and the Chiefs going into the bye week,
we're right back in it. So that's why I'm not like take this a game at a time, man. Go 1-0 this week.
Bilal Nichols played well. I mean, I think PFF had him as one of the top 5 graded players for that game.
Yeah, it's a film thing, bro. He has
that's more of a film thing. You know what I mean? I gotta get back. He's
done pretty well. I'm not gonna lie. It's just he needs more around him. We've been doing a lot of heavy fronts with we've been going against teams that have been running the football. So we had Austin Eckler, James Conner, Derrick Henry. So they were going with the Jonathan Hankins, Andrew Billings route for a lot of the game, especially with the undersized linebackers that we have. You've got to get those interior guys, those bigger, beefier guys up front. So Andrew Billings, when he's been asked to come in, he's actually done good.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, Billings actually, his run defense this year, bro, he's basically, in my opinion, he's probably our best nose tackle.
Oh, for sure. Andrew Billings.
Bro, Jonathan Hankins, in years past, he was that dude, but like,
no, Andrew Billings
has been a welcome surprise. That was a good pickup by the Raiders for sure.
Yeah.
OG Fade will always bounce back versus the Broncos. Hey man, I think we won like 4 straight against the Broncos, going all the way back to 2015 or something like that.
DC's had a lot of success against the Broncos, so this is a game I'm really fired up about.
All good, D Menace. Daniel Kim says that's why we got to share, comment, like. Hey, man.
Facts, see?
Daniel Kim is spitting facts today, man. You speaking
Daniel Kim, you're about to be our new play caller, bro.
Van City, man. He over here talking that shit too.
Amen.
Let's see. Ray membership, my dude. I'm telling you, I'm gonna be your first. Also waiting on the Raider Ray hoodie.
Yeah, okay. Let me address that. We're not forgot about this. So I'm gonna put a poll up too on my next live, because since we hit 1,000, we're gonna be doing the giveaway and we're gonna do the live drawing to find out the winner. So it's gonna either be a Raider Ray hoodie, maybe a jersey giveaway, Raiders memorabilia. So we're gonna kind of have a poll and see what you guys want, and then we're gonna do a live drawing. So I'm thinking about the next live show. We could do that towards the end of the show when we address the comments section and announce the winner, and then I'll get with you behind the scenes, whether on Instagram or whatever the case may be, and we'll get all that worked out. So you guys, I have not forgot about that. That is going to happen on the next live show.
Oh man, that's gonna be fire, man! I can't wait to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Luis Lopez, man. Hey, man, I ain't gonna roast you, but I'll just Raider Ray. What's your channel name?
You said it, Raider Ray.
Right there for you, man. He said it for here first. Raider Ray, look, hey man, so he knows.
It's simple. And it's catchy too. It's simple. Raider Ray. That's it.
Raider Ray. I just got here. Sorry if I asked the question already answered. Thoughts on the corner depth right now. Man, it's shaky right now.
Yep.
It's shaky, but I'm glad we're playing the Broncos. I'm telling you right now, I'm glad we're playing the Broncos out of all teams, because they're offensively, they're struggling. Obviously, they can say to us that, you know, they can get back. They can start being productive this week against us, because we're hurt right now. But the fact that we're not going against anyone elite other than Sutton, I say Sutton is probably their top dog, their best player on offense. If you really want to think about it, I think he's fifth in the league in receiving yards. So he's been productive for them. Obviously, you know, Russell Wilson hasn't been his usual self. He hasn't been productive out there, but I think that with all the offensive issues, new system, they don't know what they're doing over there. They've been playing sloppy ball over there on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, literally, I said earlier, they're averaging 14 points per game, and they're 2-1.
I'm going to be honest, though. Like, with the injuries that the Raiders have, this is the week that they could potentially find something, like, enough to get it done.
True.
Jerry Jeudy is a really good route runner, so Rock Ya-Sin's going to have a tough matchup regardless of who he's on. So, I mean, Cam Jordan and Mac Jones podcast. It's official. There it is.
Hey, OG, you stay roasting.
Look, dude, there's a common trend here. Night and day, salt and pepper, Cam Jordan, Mac Jones.
Oh,
why do I gotta be Mac Jones, by the way?
That's hilarious. Ray's my guy. Been following the channel with his first 100 subscribers, man. That's dope, man. That's dope,
Facts,
man.
He's my guy, man. Hope your wife's well too, by the way.
Tien Ginn says we just need to be patient and positive. All three phases will come together. Facts, man. Got to be a little bit patient. It's 3 games. Now, if we're 0-4, okay, then we could start, you know, man, all hell should break loose if we're 0-4. But James Furbo says Raiders.
I was waiting on James.
And 3-time, I ain't got another Raiders for you, man. I'm kind of a long day. The Raiders.
Go Raiders.
Go Raiders.
They don't deserve a long one just yet. We need to get a win for that.
Yeah, man. You know what? I got an idea for that, but me and Ray will talk about that behind the scenes. But Daniel Kim says, I don't know if it was inside 100, but I was definitely vibing with Ray and Fro when I heard them. Good energy, straight up with everyone and everything. Hey, man, I appreciate that, man.
I
appreciate you coming through. But it's getting close to that time, y'all, man. It's getting close to that time. I appreciate everybody that came through, show some love, man. Like I'm getting back into it. So I'm not all the way there, but I'm getting back into it. Like I said, man, make sure to like the video, subscribe. I'm at road to 1K. Continue just like it says on the little thing on the bottom. And make sure to subscribe to Raider Ray as well, man. Like, he just reached 1K. He's doing his thing on his channel. And like we said earlier, we're doing a weekly show. And one week is going to be on his channel. Another week is going to be on my channel. Obviously this week. So next week it'll be on his channel. So you want to make sure you're subscribed to both of us. And like we talked about, and this is going to be a big week for the Raiders. I feel like they have a good opportunity to get on the W column. And hey, the Broncos, man, like, they're a good defensive team, but I think that the Raiders can easily, get this game. They just need to put a complete game together, offensively, defensively, coaching staff. But how you feel about that, Raider Ray? What you got? Any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts, man. Just Raiders need to show up to get ready to play for some football, man. Like, I need to see more energy, more passion. I need to see the DC that we were seeing last season. Pre-game, he's getting the huddle around. He's telling everybody, like, I'm going to give you everything I got. Like, give me everything you got. I need to see that DC again. I need to see the passion, the swagger, I need to see him bring the juice. I need to see this entire Raiders organization look desperate for a win. I want to see both sides of the football to compete and fight to the very end, to put 4 quarters of football together. I'm really excited for this matchup. I think the Raiders can squeak out the first win. I know we've been saying that the Raiders, we're always going to be optimistic for the Raiders. However, I genuinely have a better gut feeling about this game than I did last week, and I do expect the Raiders to find a way to squeak out a win. I do see Pharaoh says, Van City says, Pharaoh, read my last comment for Ray, please. He said, she's good, Ray. Thanks, brother. Getting closer and closer to the little Raider King coming out of the tomb and into the nation. Hey, man, that's exciting, man. I'm glad. Congrats on the baby. I've got a baby boy coming too in February. So we both got some new additions to Raider Nation coming, man. So congratulations to you, and I hope everything goes well, bro.
Yeah, man, that's dope, man. Hey, man, like I said, man, I appreciate everybody coming through. If I didn't get to the chat, man, you guys were like it was a machine gun of comments coming through. And if I didn't get to your chat, make sure to leave a comment. Make sure to like the video, subscribe. Man, until next time, man. Raider Nation, peace.
Great Pharaoh, the gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the 5 rivers.
Just win, baby.
Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.